The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster, my good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. After yesterday talking to the Chamber of Commerce, it's an open line today, so if you want to follow up on anything that Claire Watterson and Chris Corlett had to say about the Chamber of Commerce's view about the Isle of Man economy, and there were fairly strong views, recession, 1,000 jobs going, and the fact that financial data seems to be ages getting through to the public. So much as the last GDP we got was for 2024. We're approaching 2027. Well, any thoughts? Then by all means do get in touch. Text, email, call and WhatsApp. One of the most contentious early policy issues of the outgoing administration was increasing the population. In 2022, as part of the 10 to 15 year economic strategy, the last government set out the ambition, declaring we're going to grow our population to 100,000 residents by 2037, driven by the inward migration and the retention of economically active people. Well, in February this year, the Chief Minister backtracked, saying the target was actually to create the infrastructure plan for a population of that size, something that he later backed down on when an updated plan went to Tynwald. So, what do you think about this? I mean, this has often been touted, 100,000 people on the Isle. Well, what are we now? 85,000. And there's always some coming and going. There are always people who leave the Isle of Man. There are people who join the Isle of Man. But 100,000, getting the infrastructure. Well, do you think we've got the infrastructure anywhere near ready for 100,000 people on the Isle of Man? By infrastructure, of course, I mean, well, simply the health infrastructure, GPs, dentists, capacity at Nobles Hospital, Ramsey Cottage Hospital. Do you think we've got enough? The roads are in the condition to handle that. Do you think we've got enough parking spaces for that? Well, what are your thoughts? And bearing in mind there are certain things, you know, we're not short of potholes on certain roads. What do you think about this? I mean, it's something that the incoming administration has to address. And again, I'll just go back to what Chris Corlett and Claire Watterson were saying yesterday. This is urgent. If we're going to continue spending money like water, you know, remember, this is the government that said 30-odd million for the Liverpool landing stage. And heaven knows where we are now. This is the government that couldn't get enough air traffic controllers at our airport. Consequently, flights were regularly being cancelled, and airlines were looking at their the predictability of it. So, who's to do all this? Who is, you know, with the incoming? And you've heard lots of the incoming candidates who profess to, to want to become an MHK. Are we taking this seriously? Because the suggestion yesterday, this is very serious. And one thing we didn't get to yesterday, and I apologise for this, is we didn't talk about Moneyval. And although at the moment everybody is quietly confident about our Moneyval exam result, as it were, Moneyval and disappearing onto the grey list could cause us untold damage. So we don't know. David's with us first of all today. Hi, David. David isn't with us today. I'll find Andy with us now. Hi, Andy.
Hi there. How are you doing?
Very well. What's on your mind, Andy?
It's just in response to the recent sort of news about the campsite on the Douglas forefront.
Yeah.
I'm one of the individuals.
Okay. And what's your concern about all this?
Well, it's not really a concern. We've done that for 26 years. Some of us have been coming, a long time. I think we've been sort of made out to be the wrong type of people, or the people that shouldn't be doing what we're doing. And, as I say, we've done it for 26 years.
Right, this is
You can
because
probably tell.
one of the residents on Queen's Apartments has complained about it.
Yes.
He just said there's
Yes.
technically not enough space for somebody to squeeze past you, obstructing the pavement.
But
Is that so?
No, that's not true. That is not true. Where the van has been parked, we obviously sit on the curb as such. The bikes maybe sit out about 2-3 feet onto the prom, but there's been council vehicles driving up and past us at all times. We've had someone this morning from the council speak to us. There has been yesterday, gentle reminders left on the van, which has been the first time this has ever happened in the 26 years. I don't think we contribute a great deal, but we contribute certainly a lot when it comes to ferry costs. We eat, drink at certain parts of the island. We go visiting the museum and the transport museum. We're all pleasant individuals.
What did the council say to you, Andy?
They've just basically made us aware that, although the van's parked here, you shouldn't be living here, which is fair enough. Downshire, I stayed in Downshire. There's other guys who've used other places whilst we're here. So it's not like the van's been used to cohabitate. We use the van as a bit of a centre spot. We do have a table, but the table gets put away.
Right.
People, they say locals walk past all the time. People have known us for years. We've had people of importance, from the local government walk past with their dogs and think it's great that we're actually managing to do what we could do. They understand it's a great deal of expense to actually try and book into some of these places, and we try to do that. We save up all year, and this is like our chance to come to motoring Mecca, I suppose you call it, motorcycle Mecca.
So how many of you are there?
6. There's only 6 of us. The person that's taken the picture has used an opportune moment when there's been a load of individuals from locals, locals pass by, stopping to say hello, and they've just used that one chance to make it look, but there are only 6 of us.
Right, okay. There's not 6 of you sleeping in the van, is there?
No, that's what I say to you. There's a wee place called Downshire Hotel. I was in there with a friend, so they were all sort of spotted around the island, just at places where we can manage to get in. We use our bikes to get backwards and forwards. So it's not like, as I say, we're not sleeping in the van.
Right, okay. Whereabouts in Scotland are you from, Andy?
Yeah, I live in a place called Gartcosh.
Good grief, where's that?
It's near Glasgow.
Oh, right, okay.
Glasgow, Kirkintilloch. I'm a local business. I'm a local business owner in Kirkintilloch. So.
And how many years you been coming to the Isle of Man, Andy?
26.
So we can class you as a veteran then. You're almost vintage.
Yes. Some of these roads, we've known these roads for years. We know the inside of the island as much as we know the exterior. And by that, I mean when they close the roads, we know how to get in and about the island from the inside. We know the best places to view. We know the best places to eat. Everybody welcomes us with open arms. People recognise us from year to year. Okay,
I have to ask this because the lady said this. Are people getting out of the van and peeing on the beach?
No, not at all. Any time that we've spent here, we use the Chinese when it's open. We go into the palace. The palace have allowed us to use the palace toilets. Even at times during the TT, we go and use the swimming baths, which is alongside. So you would never ever do that. That's something you would never ever do that.
When are you going back, Andy?
We're actually going back today. So although the lady feels that she's maybe made a complaint, it's probably came too late because today's our last day. We're getting a ferry home later on tonight. All right.
Are you back next year?
Well, you know what's just happened has got a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth. And I think it'll be certainly something we have a discussion about whether or not we come back next year. And it's just been that, one comment that sort of sparked an interest. But I think certainly going by what's been written in social media, there's a lot of people are actually backing up, what we do because we didn't harm anybody. I think there's been a lot of recoil for the lady as well. She's had a lot of redress in her comments. So there's probably even Stevens when it comes to opinions.
All right. Okay.
But I just felt it was important that someone heard it from our point of view. Well, we don't leave any mess.
Andy, we appreciate you. Just give everybody a name check. Who's with you there? Who are they?
Right. who we've got here. My name's Andy, as you well know. We've got Martin, we've got Darren, we've got Carol, we have Lucas, we have Peter, we have Tony. Tony comes from another part of the island, and we have Mark that comes from another part of the island.
All right, okay. Well, we appreciate you coming on and putting your side of the story, and have a safe journey back.
No, thank you very much for taking my call, okay?
Good to hear from you. Thanks for that. 12:15 on Manx Radio on Mannin Line today. Here's Frank with us now. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Andy. Just want to comment on this business about 100,000 people on the island.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they've really thought about this, but with the experience I've had over the years being in the motor trade and everything else, it would bring an extra minimum of 12,000 extra cars. Could you imagine what that would do on our roads?
Well, it'd clog them up, wouldn't it?
It would cause gridlock. I'm sorry, we can't cope with 100,000 people, no matter what they say. If they start to just keep the island as it is and not alter any of the infrastructure, and some of the roads are in a terrible condition, as you know.
Well, they keep talking about the fact that an increased population basically is increased commerce, it's increased money in the business, it's increased business, it's economic growth, Frank.
I agree. If you bring more people, it's bound to bring more economic growth. But the trouble is, because the government has been so stupid at spending money like as though it's just water and not looking after the place as a business person would look after, then they've no idea what to do. So they're just grasping at straws to bring across other people to get more money. The island wouldn't be able to cope with it. It wouldn't be an island anymore. I'm telling you now, it'd be a terrible place to live. Particularly if we had a lot more cars.
Well, you reckon, 12,000 more cars on the island?
Yes, at least.
Well, Frank, you used to sell cars. Can you imagine what all the car dealers would think of that if 12,000 people came with cars?
Yeah, well, I mean, then there'd be more car dealers. But I don't think it's not a sensible thing to do, because the island could not cope with it, because it isn't just one car per family, you understand. Yeah. When they've got kids and everything else, then they have a car, and so I've calculated as a very sort of downbeat thing, I suppose, but 12,000 estimate extra cars on the road, right, and that would cause absolute panic.
Okay. Frank, we appreciate it. Thanks for calling today.
Okay.
Good to talk to you. What do you think about this then? If we have 15,000 extra people, Frank's an ex-car dealer. He reckons there'll be at least 12,000 more cars on the Isle of Man. It's fair to say, in the past 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 odd years, the number of cars has absolutely, it's ballooned on the Isle of Man, hasn't it? Which is great news, I suppose, if you're in the car repair trade, or if you're selling cars, or if you're in the car finance business. What do you think? David, we found David now. Hi, David.
Hi, Randy. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, thank you.
Lovely. My trip to town this morning started with coming across the promenade and then going to the back of Strand Street. It's a short story, but it's got a point to it. So you first come across, and I mentioned this about a year ago, and it's all down to government. You come through there, you turn in by the Sefton, and you go down the back lane there. M&Co, all blanked out. Who's responsible for that? Isle of Man government. Why aren't we doing something with it? Chester Street car park, below it. Do you remember the old supermarket down below?
Liptons. Used to be the Liptons.
Yeah, we could even run go-karts in it if somebody had an idea, but at least we were going to do something with it. And then we get to Marks and Spencer's car park. What an enchanting view as you come up from the ramp. All the walls are black down. You come on, I went to the top deck for a bit of fresh air and a bit of sunlight. And then somebody's trying to ring me, but you're not getting through. Is the weeds that are there. The weeds, the pots that are on the top deck there, the weeds are ready to seed.
Yeah.
So at least the DOI could do something, plant some seeds there.
Well, you would think they're big planters, aren't there? They're supposed to have greenery in them, but nothing's in them. People aren't even growing cannabis in them.
No, we don't want that. But anyway, that's a little thing that could be done, and we could use the community service group. If the government is so stressed out, why can't we use people who are on community service and do that? It's a positive thing to the town and the island itself. When people come up there, people say to me, "Oh, what's all this for? What's all this blackness coming down the walls?" And where the metal railings are, you get these streaks to come down and just rust. And then the final thing, and I'll leave then, is there still a positive action group? Maybe they would take up the challenge to reinvent the town.
Well, they had some meetings, didn't they, the Positive Action Group, recently, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know whether anybody's standing under the PAG banner for Keys, but I don't know.
No.
Okay.
No. But at least they have meetings at the Legion Club down there and invite speakers in to have a chat. But maybe we get somebody over to say, what can we do with the island? Well, it's not going to cost us a lot of money. And if we're going to attract all these people to the island, what's the best place to be is in town and show them what we have. And then the countryside is second in it.
Okay. All right, David,
anyway,
good to hear from you.
You didn't ask me about the panels, and I haven't got much in today.
Oh,
20,
dear.
20%.
20%. And have all the tents gone from Blackberry Lane yet?
No, it's probably towards the weekend. Okay. But the funny thing about it is, once the clouds go away, the panels heat up. There's something in that. Do we need wind turbines? Yes, we do.
Okay.
See you, boy.
Thanks for that. It's 21 minutes past 12. The woman complaining about the camper vans and bikes on Douglas Prom is another that's going to ruin it for fans. TT and the Manx. In the 1970s, everywhere was packed with vans and campers and bikes. Nowhere else in the world could match the atmosphere. We love walking on the prom and seeing them. Says Gary. Well, what do you think about this? The ladies complained about this, and you heard Andy explaining exactly what it's happening. A blind person could see that 100,000 population would mean infrastructure overload. We need to stop frittering money away on vanity projects and cut our cloth, says 828. He didn't tell me what vanity projects they were. I thought it was a great talk. It's Liz, this is, on 194. So it was a great talk with the Chamber of Commerce people and very sensible. We need them in government, or at least the very least government should listen to them. Well, that's what they wanted, Chamber of Commerce. And remember, as Claire Watterson said, this is not just, highfalutin big companies. It's one man, one woman bands. People who are starting coffee shops, people who are starting nail bars and things like that, because it's a talking shop. Everybody gets together. It's networking, I suppose you call it nowadays. That's what it's all about. I just wonder what your thoughts are. And again, when we talk about, and I go back to Manx Care, that cost has ballooned. And nobody's, whether or not you think they do a good job or a bad job, that's your opinion. I have no opinion on that. It's just costing an awful lot more. And the price is going up. Obviously, the cost of labour goes up. There are always threats or warnings about industrial action. So the cost of labour is going up all the time. The cost of technology goes up. The cost of drugs goes up. So the cost of Manx Care is going up, and that's only one part. It's a big part, it's an enormous part, but that's only one part. The other part of DHSC is social care. So what do you think? The money simply has to come from somewhere. It was good to have that perspective yesterday from Chris Corlett saying that, back in 1984, when we had our backs against the wall, 2,000 people out of work. 2,000 people out of work. And remember, up until 1979 was Millennium Year, and before that, everybody was touting the tourist trade as the centre of everything. We had a 13-week season that we had to cram everything in, and obviously, eventually, that fell off a cliff. And we have what we have now, which is niche tourism, lucrative niche tourism, but it is niche tourism. We don't have mass tourism anymore. Because we're not geared up for it anymore, because all the hotels and boarding houses have become flats. apart from a few exceptions. So how do we get ourselves out of this? How, if you're a candidate standing, if somebody said to you on the doorstep, what about the engines of growth? Where's the next big thing going to be that will pay all the taxes, that will employ people, so that those taxes go into public revenues and they fund our services? Have you got any thoughts on this? Well, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Text, email, call and WhatsApp on Mannin Line. We are open line through till 1 today.
They may try to offer you a tasty carrot. Perhaps they'll try to give you some stick. But whatever you do, don't become a money mule. It's just not worth the risk. Don't let anyone move money through your bank account, however tempted you may be. You could end up facing serious consequences, including a criminal record, bank account closure, as well as difficulty securing loans or credit in the future. A message brought to you by Isle of Man Bankers Association, Financial Crime Partnership, the IOM Constabulary and Cyber Security Centre for the Isle of Man. For further information, visit csc.gov.im.
Charity of the Week, brought to you by Kell Properties.
The Friends of the Villa Gaiety, or FOGS, raise vital funds to help restore and maintain the historic Villa Gaiety. FOGS supports specialist repairs, refurbishment and improvements for audience and performer experience. You can help by joining FOGS, making a donation or contributing when buying tickets. Find out more at fogs.im or call 484 600.
This advert is brought to you by Kell Properties.
The Granite Centre in Laxey. For complete kitchen renovations, replacement worktops, and with over 35 distinct styles and finishes, there's a Kuka instant boiling water tap for every home. Call 612287 or visit thelaxeykitchenco.im today.
SMS Trading. New and second-hand furniture from flat pack to fully built. See our range at 3 St Paul Square, Ramsey. All-island delivery and man in a van service available. Call SMS Trading on 315151 or find SMS Trading on Facebook.
Manx Mobility in Onken have it all. Daily living aids, wide-fitting shoes, rise recliners, beds and scooters, including lightweight and airline-approved models. Call in and see how our expert team can make your life easier. Manx Mobility at the top of Summer Hill.
Gilg 2, Gilg J as Gilg Nera.
A Gilg, the Manx Gaelic, Chinian Amera, the mother tongue of Elian Vannin, the Isle of Man. You can catch up with more of Manx Radio's Manx language programmes in the weekly podcast Aber Rish. Say that again. Shene, that's the one.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
It's 27 minutes after 12. A message in just to say a friend from the UK has mentioned that the Red Devils parachute team are due over Douglas tomorrow. I was embarrassed to admit I knew nothing about it. I can't find any mention in the race programmes. Is the event still scheduled, says Paul in Mackle. The Red Devils will find out for you. And John said that some mobile homes were parked at Ramsey Grammar School in TT week. They were told to move as they were emptying waste onto the grass. A note in from John just saying, why not create a camper van site on the old Summerland area? All you need is a shower block and waste disposal for sewage, and it will be a good earner. Said, who knows? The camper vans on the prom. Why on earth did Douglas Council recommend that they go to Marine Drive? They'll ruin the views, and those who are irresponsible will dispose of their waste without being observed. Is that why it was resurfaced in error? They should make use of the official site, says 315. And Jill on WhatsApp says, a word of support for Andy, Scottish Andy. I hope he does come back. Most of us will make him very, very welcome. And Juan on now. Hi, Juan.
Hey, I was waiting to see you in the classic parade yesterday, Andy.
Right, okay.
I thought you might have been on the Shuttleworth Snap or something.
Sadly not, no.
Sadly not. Yeah, just following up on that text that you just had in there, Andy. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this programme who would very, very much welcome you here. I mean, from what I can understand, and I've passed there many times in the morning, Andy's not got a camper van. I think it's a van that they just congregate around, and I've seen him there many years. They put a couple of lights outside it, and they sit there and they have a drink and they socialise. And if we remember back to 30 years ago, 40 years ago, the promenade used to be alive with them type of people. Everyone walking along the prom, looking at everyone's bikes and enjoying the place. We've got a nucleus of people in now who have come to the island who don't want to be bothered. They don't want the TT. They've just come here and they want to impose their wishes on everyone else. Well, I would imagine that their wishes are actually the minority. So most people accept the TT as it is, and they embrace it with open arms. It is what it is. So, Andy, you keep yourself coming there and you enjoy yourself. Interested to see what the numbers would be like this year, Andy. Did you think it was as busy?
From what I saw, but then again, they often say that everybody's scattered around the course, but not as busy, and certainly Nobles Park wasn't as busy.
No, because I was up at the Cringle bar and all the stands were free of charge there. There was no one on them. And, going right up the side of the mountain was very sparse. There was not a lot of people there. And I think they opened the grandstands up free of charge at Nobles as well, which would probably help the traders make some money this year. And I think Gary Thompson was absolutely correct in what he did this year in his shouts and crammed everything into a fantastic 2 or 3 days of racing. I think it worked well. Everyone's gone home and they've had their bikes out and they've raced. So I think he made a good call with that. But I do think the numbers seem to be down. So it'd be interesting to see what figures they produce out of it for this year.
Well, the thing to do is talk to the traders, because what can't speak can't lie, and they'll know by the size of their takings, won't they?
Yes, they will do. They will, and I think a lot of the thing is as well now. Just jumping back onto what we said before, they're making this into a corporate event, and it used to be an event for the people. People came over, they'd sit on the side of the road, watch the racing, and it was a casual event. But the organisers have made this into a corporate event now, and are pushing the local people and the people who just want to sit and watch a race into corners. So the whole concept of the race has changed, and again, the guys there, compliance. Everyone's onto compliance now. You can't do this and you can't do that. It's TT races. Just let make it happen and get on with it. On another note, I see they've finally announced the Attorney General for taking over from Walter Wannenberg.
It's Mr. Helfrich, isn't it?
Mr. Helfrich, yes, I think he'd be joining. I think his wife's already in the chambers in the Attorney General's office, I think. So he'd be joining her in there, I would imagine. I would imagine they'll probably introduce him after Moneyball and get that out of the way. I want to make some points what Alex Allenson said the other day, but I'm just going to listen back through again on all his points about the island being racism, etc., and racist. So I'll come back on that one, Andy, because there's a few points I want to pick up on there.
Okay, all right.
You know what socialists are like, and socialists are always great until they've spent everyone else's money. Then socialism kind of stops there, doesn't it? Looking at just a final note there, Andy, 80 people standing for the election this year. I think that's the biggest one we've ever had, isn't it?
It's a lot of people, isn't it? It's an awful lot of people.
It is, and I'm just wondering how that's going to dilute the voting. Would it be an idea if people say if they preferred one person in their area and they had 2 votes, just to vote for that one person? Would that stop the voting dilution and maybe centre down on who is actually popular?
Well, we don't know. I mean, because obviously, it's open to anybody, mostly anybody, and if people think they've got something to offer, then obviously they think they can persuade enough people. I'm sure they've done the calculations to see how many votes they need. I mean, at the moment, it's very free. It's a free form of democracy. Anybody can stand, and then the public decide, and that's the great thing about it. I love the election, Joe, and I love that because on Thursday the 24th of September, the polls will open at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 8 o'clock in the evening, the decisions will have been taken. We'll know a couple of hours later, and then we know. Then the chips fall, and then they have to deal with it, and they've got 5 years to get it right, and they need to get it right.
Oh, absolutely, totally agree with you. And I think my point on that was, if you think you've got to vote for two people, do you necessarily, if you only like one of them people, do you vote for just that one person and not vote for two? I think that was my point, to make sure that the popular people or the bright people get in. Just train of thought on that one.
Okay.
Cheers, Andy.
Good to hear from you. Thanks for that, June. And Eddie's with us now. Hi, Eddie.
Hi, Andy. All right, mate?
Very well. Lovely weather, isn't it, eh?
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I've not been out this morning, but it's giving a break. We need the rain. We've had a great summer up to now. I want to talk about the Chamber of Commerce yesterday.
Yeah.
But just two dead quick things. I agree with the people who've been saying the TT is a proven atmosphere. Try not to change it. Keep it as it is. And June was just pointing a few things out there I agree with as well. But my points were yesterday, the people you had on from the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
I thought they had some great ideas, actually. One of the things they pointed out was the Isle of Man, the next lot that come in, to try and be as creative as we've had in the past for making money, not spending it, which I thought was absolutely what is ruining the Isle of Man at the moment. We seem to be spending a lot and not making any. We have got a lot of assets that we could make money with, and they've been pointed out over and over again and just cast to one side. In my opinion, using their sort of thoughts, is why on earth don't we spend a very tiny little bit of money to find out whether we have got gas or not, and whether we use it ourselves or not, we can sell the surplus. There's a money maker. It's dead simple. Let's find out if we've got geothermal. That's a short bit of money again to find out whether we've got it. If we've got it, then it's a money maker. There are so many things, but on top of it all, we need to try and be 100% independent from England, because the minute we tie ourselves to England in any way of power, we're going to get ripped off. They pointed out that each area of the Isle of Man could create its own power. I agree with that. I mean, we've got Cringle down here, and every bit of water that goes out of Cringle goes into the river and out to sea. It isn't thought of at all, but there's enough water in Cringle to do probably half of the south of the island, I would think. Judging by, I pointed out to you a thing quite a long time ago, a few times, about a place called Knoydart on the west coast of Scotland. The best thing they ever did, they're stating, is because they kept getting cut off with Scottish Power, they created their own. They pipelined from a small lake that they've got down to a little generator and all the rest of it, and it generated enough power for the whole of the peninsula.
So you think we could use Cringle Reservoir for hydro?
Well, of course, any water. I mean, you look back at history itself. The Archimedes screw, right? You only need a tiny little stream, and if you put enough of those in, you can power mills all the way along it. You look at Golden Meadow Mill, I've shown you that tiny little bit of water from Silverburn, that milled every bit of grain in the south of the island. We're looking at all the wrong things. We've got loads of things here already which we aren't even utilising. Every single stream, lake, so-and-so in the Isle of Man could be utilised. The generators that we've got up at Sulby are so out of date that we could renew them, because they are so much more efficient these days, as I watched the programme on about Brazil. I think they went about ninefold by just using modern day technology. Right? We could do something similar. But the main point of all this, Andy, is it's here. And like the Chamber of Commerce said, let's start looking at making money. Those things will make money because you're not spending hand over fist for what is it? It's 29 pence.
Well, that's
it.
We're at 29 pence. But I mean, going back to the gas that's there at the moment. Well, there is gas there at the Kroger field, the Isle of Man National Gas Field. There is gas there, but at the moment it's under the shadow of the offshore wind farm, because Ørsted say that if they do go ahead and get the gas and the offshore wind farm's there, that whoever operates the gas field will be liable for any problems that there are with the wind turbines if there's any subsidence of the seabed.
Well, that's a good idea then, not to allow the turbines then, isn't it? It's going to just... It smells to me anyway, all this turbine stuff. I told you before, right at the very beginning, I was all for it. I thought, oh, great, it's free, it's unpolluting. I found out everything about it is wrong. But that's beside the point. We've got our own say here. The Isle of Man has got its own say, or should have, which gets me to a point the other day. I saw a snippet on the BBC about the Isle of Man, and I thought it was absolutely, totally biased. You had two of the top men from Ørsted on it, and a couple of comments from bystanders on the beach. So totally biased, and I think everybody I've spoke to have said the same. So perhaps they've done us a favour there by making it look so obvious. It was just so biased. It was unbelievable. Did you see it?
I didn't know, but I've had lots of comments about it.
Yes, it was ridiculous. But there you go. There's a few comments for you.
All right.
The Noida Peninsula water. It's free and it's clean. And when you finish with it, you put it back clean. Unlike every other power they're talking about in a minute.
Okay, Eddie.
How's that?
All right, thanks for calling today. Thanks for your opinion. Let's go back to this 100,000 population. It's a very contentious early policy issue of the last administration, the one that's about to be replaced. 100,000 residents by 2037. They rode back on it a couple of times. So ahead of the general election, it's something that... we've been talking to the political commentator Alistair Ramsey about.
It is still Tynwald-agreed policy. It's fed into the assessment of housing need. It will be feeding into strategic planning and so on. So I think that the first task for the new House of Keys is to look at this and say, do we really want to stick with this? Is it realistic given all these global trends? Is it realistic in an age of AI? DFE are doing what I regard as a fairly narrow review of the economic strategy that includes this population target. I don't think that's enough. I don't think just talking to a few businesses, it's an island-wide issue. It affects everybody. It is still there, despite these not very convincing attempts to say, well, it's that people misunderstood it. It's there in black and white in numerous government documents.
Alistair Ramsey, of course, one time, was a political commentator now, one time press advisor. Well, that's how long ago it was. He was the press advisor. He wasn't the media advisor. Anyway, he knows of what he speaks, and that's what he's saying, that it's still on the books, that the 100,000 is still on the books, despite the fact they say it isn't. A message in from 258. So it's great to hear that Andy from Scotland on the radio. I've met him before. I hope he doesn't stop visiting the Isle of Man. It's great to see people actually using the prom. It's cost enough. Thank you 258. And Peter's on now. Hello, Peter.
Oh, hello, Andy. Just in connection with Dewan's telephone call about can you vote for just one person? Yeah? You can.
Oh, that doesn't invalidate your voting slip?
No. As far as I know, no. You can... They'll tell you, obviously, at the... when you go to vote, they'll say something like, you have 2 votes. They won't say, they never do. They never say, well, you have 2 votes, but you don't have to use them. They won't say that, because I suppose they're obliged to say, which is quite correct, you have 2 votes. But... you don't have to exercise them, because I know people who've only have only voted for one, and I mean, it's so yeah, as far as I know, unless someone's changed the rules, and it makes common sense, because, I mean, if you look down at a list, suppose you've got 4 or 5 people on there, and there's only one who you want. Let's, for example, on this contentious subject about the windmills, suppose you know that there's only one person who is actually against them and all the others are for it. Well, then it wouldn't make sense for you to vote for 2, because you're cancelling out your vote.
Right.
You might as well, it's best, obviously, if you possibly can, to vote for 2. I mean, if there's 2 people you really like, yeah, because you're going to get 2 representatives. But as far as I know, it does not invalidate your vote if you only vote for 1. The only way you invalidate your vote is if you don't like any of them and you put none of these or something like that, or if you put 3 crosses on. That will invalidate it, obviously. So you mustn't go for more than 2, but as far as I know, there's nothing to stop you going for 1. So, Juan, who I know quite well, there you are. I'm pretty sure you can vote for 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
okay.
Right. Appreciate it. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, it's 1:15. Nobles Park campsite's the Isle of Man's largest campsite. It's got full facilities, restaurants, cafe, children's play area. In the past 12 months, £1 million has been spent on refurb and maintaining it. The Government Motorsports Department has got a lease on it, believe it, but won't allow its use outside of race periods. Our taxes are paying for this, but we can't use it, says that correspondent. And 538 says, fair play to the guy on the prom. They do no harm, and it's 10 days at the most. We should be encouraging people to come to the MGP. People need to get a life, says Tony. And a note in, leave the guys alone on the promenade. It's their holidays. We're a holiday island, aren't we? Unfortunately, we're now treating them as undesirables, says Paul, which they're not. Just listen to the Scottish chap who was on the promenade. I think the person who took the photo and the media outlet who aired the story should issue an apology. I think it's poor journalism, says Tony. I'd be interested to know if the person who complained is a local. In the 70s and 80s, you couldn't walk along the promenade with the amount of motorcycles. Whoever's complaining should get a life. The Isle of Man can't cope with 100,000 people. It's struggling now, says 915. You can't get a dentist appointment. GPs earn so much, they only work 2 days a week, so appointments are scarce. Well, that's your opinion, obviously. I was made redundant from an offshore bank earlier this year after more than 20 years and struggling to get another job. My son, who's Manx, can't afford to get onto the property ladder, and the number of people claiming benefit and using the food bank demonstrates the unaffordability of the Isle of Man. If anything, this will drive the population down, and all we'll be left with is rich pensioners. That's 915. With regard to the gentleman, and this is 750, Carol, who just said, with regard to the gentleman with the camper van who just called in to offer his side of the story, I was under the impression that we're trying to encourage tourists here. I say to them, please don't let this mar your holiday and your enjoyment. You're most welcome back to the Isle of Man next year, and have a safe journey home. Any thoughts on that, or anything else that's on your mind? There was a message in that just said, regarding this only voting for one person, is there any way you can indicate you're only voting for one person? We're not suggesting anything would happen, that anybody tampered with the slip, but if you're only voting for one person, is there anything you can put on there just to say, this person only? Well, it's all happening. It's all happening 4 weeks tomorrow, the general election 2026, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m, Thursday 24th of September. There will be the voting for a brand new House of Keys. There'll be some old faces returning, and there'll be some new faces coming in. Who's it going to be? Is anybody running a book on this, by the way?
Call Corkill Removals and Storage today. Loads big and small, day after day. We'll help you move, we'll help you pack. With a local or global, we've got the knack. Click CorkillRemovals.com.
TE Cubbon provide new memorial stones, grave renovations, new inscriptions and fire hearths. Visit us at Hope Street, Castletown, or at Broadway, Douglas, or call 844 440. TE Cubbon, here when you need us.
The exclusive Karcher store is open with thousands of products, accessories and parts in stock. For Karcher sales and service, Hersham Electrical, Shipyard Industrial Estate, Ramsey.
At Pagode Cattery, we've been caring for animals for over 50 years. As a cattery, we care for our customers' cats and treat them as our own. Visit pagode.com or call 321 989.
Elevate Rubber Cover from Rubber Roof Shop for one-piece flat roofing systems. No joins, no leaks. We also line commercial box gutters in one piece up to 60 metres with a 20-year written warranty against leakage. Call Rubber Roof Shop on 496667.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Beldorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company. Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
The Ramsey Garden Centre sale is now on, featuring a huge range of garden items at vastly reduced prices. Don't delay. Grab a garden bargain now. There has never been a better time to visit Ramsey Garden Centre. Open 7 days a week on Albert Road, Ramsey.
In the run-up to the House of Keys general election on Thursday the 24th of September, we want to give you as much information as possible about who's standing in your constituency to help you decide who to vote for. So, starting on Monday the 31st of August, we'll be hosting our live constituency debate programmes at Studio One. Every candidate standing will be invited to take part, and you could be a member of the audience. Head over to Manx Radio's election mini-site to find the date of your constituency debate and apply for your free ticket. You can find all the details at manxradio.com.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster Mike, good afternoon. 9 minutes before 1. Why don't we reduce the size of the civil service? That's grown enormously under this government, and the private sector can no longer afford it. That's from Texter 677. I've been down and met the lads parked on the prom as pictured. They've done no harm. The place is spotless. And since when is the use of sun chairs banned on the prom? Something that's been going on for years, hundreds of years. The lady who was moaning on the radio this morning is always moaning. She was moaning before about the smell of the seaweed. The smell of the sea was nice, isn't it? The smell of the seaweed. Eric's with us now. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Andy. The thing you've been talking about there about voting for only one person.
Yeah.
It's called plump vote, where you are only talking to one person.
Well, it's called what vote?
Plump.
Plump vote.
Where you only vote for one person, where you've got two that you could vote for.
Right.
You do not write anything on your ballot paper, because if you do, it could become invalid.
Okay. All right.
All you do is put in an X. And the other thing you were talking about, the Manx Grand Prix, certainly in Ramsey, I think it was busier. And the other thing with that was there was a lot of foreign people here with foreign motorbikes, more than I've ever seen in the Grand Prix.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Good to hear from you.
Right.
Thanks, Eric. I got a note in from Emma who just said, what's the story with the Manxman? What's the state of the Manxman? Is she still in dry dock? Well, the last we heard, she's obviously still in dry dock. The message from the steam packet was that after she's going to be out until September. There are all sorts of and you'll know this if you listen to anybody. All sorts of people are telling you all sorts of dates when the Manxman is going to be coming back. So this was the latest we heard, and this was a wee while ago, but I'll give them the opportunity. This is from the managing director of the steam packet, Brian Thompson.
I don't think we know 100% what caused it. Obviously there's been contamination in the seawater that's been lubricating the shaft, so that's some sort of debris, possibly sand, possibly something else. And we're also sort of checking other potential causes in terms of the materials that the shafts, the liners and the bearings are made out of. So that's all under investigation.
There is a theory, of course, that it bottomed out and that affected the prop shaft. What about that?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the cause. But again, I wouldn't rule it out. So we'll go through all the steps with the shipyard to build it, with our engineers, with the specialist engineers that we've brought in, and we'll see what caused it and avoid it in the future.
Of course, there was a problem with the gearbox a while ago. Does that have any bearing on this?
Well, it's all connected, but I don't think that's the cause of the issue, because it's definitely to do with the seawater lubrication.
3 years now, it arrived in July 2023. Is this the right boat for this job?
I believe it is, yes. The problem will get repaired. If it's something bigger, we'll change the system. It doesn't change the customer experience on the Manxman, other than it being out of action for this extended time since we've found this problem.
You're talking to me very openly, very freely.
Always.
Here. Is this something that you perhaps should have done a while ago to tell people what was going on?
No, because we have to investigate it and we have to be certain. So the press release that came out today, that's been getting worked on, and we want to get our information correct. I don't want to sit in an interview and say, we don't know, or we need to look into this, or I'm not sure about that. So we're sort of sure what the problem is. We've got a fix for it. We've got people working on it, and that's what we have to do, is get the boat back into operation. So all the other questions and all the pointing fingers and blame, that's something else. But for us, the focus is on bringing the vessel back into service and getting the customers back on it.
Managing Director of the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company, Brian Thompson. The Manxman went into dry dock on July the 13th. That, I think it's 45 days. Now, she's back, supposed to be on duty at the end of September, which is about another month or so. And remember, next Monday is Bank Holiday. And after Bank Holiday, everybody's thoughts turn to Christmas as to who's going where, what's going to be happening. At the moment, we have the Ben McCree, which has no cabins. She's the cabin-free Ben McCree, and we're on National Feel Sorry for MV Manxman day number 45. So we'll wait and we'll see. We don't know. And if you do, somebody say something, please. Regarding the population figures, says 906 WhatsApp, the government's saying that 85,000 is the population, yet you speak to people on the streets, they all say it's got to be 100,000 now. Even the chief of police said on the radio, we don't know who's coming and how many people are here. So it makes a mockery of the recent census, which we haven't heard the results of yet. And did they get everybody in there? All the people who didn't respond to the census, have they been, as it were, rounded up? Remember, Mannin Line is an opinion programme. You always have the chance to rebut or reply to anything. You have the right of reply. All you need to do is get in touch with the show. And it'll be back tomorrow at high noon. Thanks to Howie on the phones today. Enjoy your Wednesday.
WINT